right, sir. So it is very well understood that we have a very long way to go, and how politics is something which is really going to have an effect on the effectiveness of this SDGs. So on the same line of question, as anything related to the environmental targets, like we get to hear about multilateral environmental treaties or even the UNDP goals for that matter, time and again there have been much allegations made on how these are not really optimal for the developing or the underdeveloped nations. So for the current goals, which has been given the timeline of 2030, how well do you think India is doing?
I remember I was part of government when Prime Minister Manmohan Singh was in power. I was deputy director in his office. I remember when the Kyoto Protocol, the global warming, were always cursing the developing nations because our machineries were old, our vehicles are old, we are polluting the world. I remember a great argument made by Manmohan Singh saying that you look at the population of India and look at the pollution which we make and divide that and see per capita pollution by India. Do the same with other countries. Then we will see India is not at all polluting this world. That's a great argument. But I am sure the world did not hear that properly. The development index always had a lot of contradiction. They wanted to target the developing nation. The developed nation wanted to put all the burden on us. And there was a great bad message which is pumped in by the global warming. And we have changed all our normal bulb into CFL bulb. But I'm sure the richest fellow never replaced one bulb with one bulb. Instead of one bulb, he replaced with 10 different bulbs. We have started checking all the vehicles here, but we never cared what happened into the Kuwait's oil wells burned by the great nation putting bomb there. We are not worried about how the sea is getting polluted. When a war happens, how much pollution is run. You know, one tanker runs for 1 kilometer, whereas our vehicle can run, motorbike can run 70 kilometers per liter. And when we need a certificate, I don't think there is any pollution control board which installed lot of checking systems on the roadside. Show me one vehicle which did not get a non-pollution certificate, because it's all the way of fooling. Every person is contributing every 6 months little bit of money in the name of the global pollution control, which is totally and impractically unwanted situation which we created in the name of the international rule which is getting implemented in this country. But not all countries have implemented this. What happens when we wanted to get a signature from somebody, we will have to show that we are also doing something. And that show actually is penalizing the public. This is what happens to most of our projects. The projects we understand some way, when it get diluted by the relationship between me and somebody else have to get sustained. That is where the sustainability. I have to make a relationship handshake between them. So give a Nobel Prize for somebody who is making one movie on global warming. That's how Al Gore got a Nobel Prize for that. And that movie became very famous, which is one of the most stupid movie, because immediately after that, the British television came with a 37 scientists interviewed beautiful documentary movie, The Great Global Warming Swindle, which is most stupid word which global warming we say, because it is not there. You will know when you look at the movie called Seaspiracy or Conspiracy. It is not the small wood industry which is running something, or maybe some small industry which is polluting the world, which is creating a lot of trouble. The natural forest, the rainforest is being replaced by the oil palm trees. These are all done by business people. The great business people still flourish. whereas the poor man with one small basket traveling on a motorbike is getting penalized. This is how like a traffic police punishing people, whereas the great scam people run away from India to UK and then asylum is given there. And we talk about sustainable development, political problems. This is where we need to understand the reality in the field what we need to do. If that can be understood, I'm sure we can do much better.
Thank you so much, sir. So this is very well understood that how the differences lie between a common man and the so-called powerful people here. So, sir, on the same line, the next thing that I would like to know from you is that these UNDP goals, which are given the timeline for 2030, are somewhat the modifications and a better modified version of the Millennium Development Goals that was given for the timeline of 2050. So, sir, could you just let us know how successful was our nation to achieve the MDGs by 2015? And I ask this question through the lens of a common man. How successful we as a nation was in achieving the MDGs in the year of 2015?
Now you look at probably India as a country. We have taken, when it comes to UNDP or maybe sustainable development goals, millennium plans, India jumps very fast. Probably the World Economic Forum, most of our previous prime ministers from the starting gave beautiful lectures. And by name we have got Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, Sabka Vishwas, so many programs, right? Where people, planet, prosperity, what else is there? I think the partnership and peace. So 5 P's. When we wanted to have development, we thought about all these as part of governmental activities. Earlier also I told you, it is not the central government which wanted to implement can implement things. In any development program, it has to run through the state government. There are a lot of mainstream players. There are a lot of intellectual people who thinks about with advisors in different chief ministers. I am from Kerala basically. We have a chief minister who has got maybe 17 advisors. I don't know what a chief minister will do with the 17 advisors, where they are all given with a position almost equal to a cabinet rank, a minister's rank. They will be also be eligible for pension. Whenever we have different plans, we recruit a lot of people. We recruit a lot of old fellows who experienced in different people. What is their experience? Delaying things, not doing anything. Most probably that's what we do, right? And we don't know how to manage with our system of administrators. Same way, we don't know how to manage with our resources available. What is sustainable development is the distribution of the resources which we have almost equally well. You look at India, we have got a lot of poor people. But if you look at the percentage of food waste in India is almost 40%. There is a great saying, I remember it was Sheshan, who was once upon a time with the Department of Space. He was the election chief commissioner. Probably your age group, who are all college students, may not even know him. But you ask your parents. The election commission became famous only when Sheshan came into election commission. Otherwise, election commission was not even known to public. He showed that there is an election commission and they have greatest power. And he also contested for president's election but failed miserably. He was telling once, he had a lot of association with the scientific communities of India. Department of Atomic Energy, Department of Space, in all these places he worked. He was telling, we don't want these rockets and atomic energy. We want to know how tomato can be preserved for 10 days. Do we have science for this today? We don't have. Imagine, India is a country with a variety of food available. Sujalam, full of water. Suphalam, full of fruits. But then we are not able to distribute water. We are not able to distribute food. We have a solution for this. Do we have beautiful places where the food can be stored? Do we have the trade patterns inside country at least. If that can be established with the technology and the people, I'm 100% sure this can be done with the great entrepreneurship ability which the children, people who are around. Otherwise, we may talk about Swachh Bharat, but half of our markets are dirty with old food, the thrown away waste. We have Make in India, but what we make in India is probably the agricultural product. We don't have a good distribution system for this. We have skill in India, but we are not using the skill of the youth. We have digital India, but I told you we are not connected mostly well. We develop lot of good software for the rest of the world, but our softwares which wanted to connect to people doesn't work most of the time when it comes to the government situations. I'm sure this coordination is what is required, this collaboration is what is required, this welfare trust between the people and the political parties and the government at different levels, local authority to the union government, is what is essentially required for a great path forward in this. That's what I believe.
All right, sir. It was really insightful to hear you, and your detailed description has definitely made the sphere of SDGs and understanding SDGs much clearer to all of us.